Okay, I'm going to continue with the second referee. Sorry, got cut off, but I can only go 15 minutes. So again, they're going to check the lineup for each team when they get on the floor before the match starts, and they're going to make sure that everybody's in the right spot for both teams. They have a lineup card that they keep in their hand, and that's what they use to check to make sure everybody's in the right spot. And then while play is going on, since you're the down official and you can see, you have to make sure that the coach remains in what they call the replacement zone. In other words, from the 10-foot line to the end, they have to stay in that area, and they can't get any closer than 6 feet to the sideline while they're standing during play. They used to have to sit, but they can stand and they can coach, but they can't get close to the court, basically. They have to stay away 6 feet, and they have to be behind the attack line and in front of the serving line. So in that area is called the replacement zone. They got to be there. And again, they can't get any closer. The biggest thing is they try to get too close to the court. So as an official, what I would do was go and say, hey, coach, you're getting close to that sideline. Make sure you stay away. And if they do it again, then you can penalize them. You can give them a yellow card. Okay. Your job is to manage illegal replacements. In other words, if the libero, remember the libero can go into for any position in the back row, but they have a certain way of being replaced. They have to run before you call for serve. Like if you call for serve, the libero can't run on the floor. That would be what they call an illegal replacement, and then you would have to stop that. Or if they go in front of the 10-foot line, liberos are all behind, okay? Now, if you have a sub, the subs have to be in front of the 10-foot line, okay? So that's another thing. If they just run in and run out, you have to make sure you stop that and tell them, you have to, in the beginning, the first couple matches, show them, help them, but as the season goes on, they should know how to do that. So if they don't do it right, that's unnecessary delay, and it's a yellow card, okay? Your job as a down official is you blow the whistle for timeouts, for substitutions. If the captain can ask you for the lineup check, so you would check and make sure all the players are in the right spot. That's all your down official, because the second referee has a lineup card. As an official, you have to have a lineup card when you're down. And your job is to keep track and make sure everybody's in the right spots. So they can ask you if they're not sure, they can ask you who's the next server, and then you can put their team in the right lineup. If they do this a lot, it's okay to do it a couple of times, but if they continuously doing it, you can actually give them an unnecessary delay. Okay. When there's a timeout, then at 45 seconds, when there's 15 seconds left, you do a double whistle. Okay, like toot toot, get on the floor, okay? And then they've got 15 seconds, and then you're gonna signal to the up official how many timeouts they've used. Because again, the up official doesn't have any part of the book or anything, so you're gonna show them with your fingers, like on your shoulders or whatever, 2 timeouts or whatever, so that they can signal up high, okay? So again, as the second official, your job is a lot of bookkeeping, okay? You got to make sure the player's in the right spot, the right people serve, the timeouts, all that stuff. That's all your job, okay? If there's an injury, then you coordinate with the timer. You don't have to put the 30 seconds up. It doesn't have to be visible, but they keep track. And the only reason you do the 30 seconds is if they want to continue to be in the match, they have to be ready to go in 30 seconds. If they're not, which is fine, then they have to come out of the match. Okay, I'm not saying if somebody, cracks their head and they're bleeding that they got 30 seconds to get off that floor. No, the 30 seconds is if, they, after 30 seconds, if they're ready to play, fine, play on. If they're not, they need to come out of the match. And then they can take as long as they want. Okay, you signal at the beginning and the completion of a charged timeout. So you blow your whistle, timeout, you make the signal, and then whatever side. And then when it's over, toot toot, and you put up how many timeouts they've used, okay? So that they know. It used to be you'd go over to the coaches and tell them. If they're looking at them, you can tell them, yeah, coach, that was 1 timeout. But don't go out of your way. Like some people would get in their face and, coach, that's 2 timeouts, and that just makes them mad. So it's not your job to tell the coach how many timeouts left. You will signal at the end, and if they're paying attention, great. If they're not, that's their problem. So if they call a 3rd timeout, which is illegal, they can't blame it on you. Well, you didn't tell me. Well, that's their problem. They are, they need to check on themselves or whatever, but You signal at the end how many timeouts they have used, okay? When the other thing you do when you're down official is you keep track of substitutions. So when when they've used their 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th, you can just say, Coach, that's sub number 15 and 16 if they have two or whatever, and you tell them, because when they get to 18, they're done. That's all the subs you can have in a game. So if they try to do the 19 sub, they got a problem, and that's illegal substitution. That's going to be a card. Okay. You also, whenever there is a timeout or at the end of a set, you check the score sheet to make sure it's right. And I will have a short little video show you. I'm going to show you how to keep book. You don't have to keep book, but as an official, you need to understand what's going on there, because you got to check it and make sure. So every time there's a timeout, you go over and look, check the visual score, check the score sheet. Are they the same? And then you put a little initial by it. So if something goes wrong, at least you know at that point the score was right. Okay. Okay, you use an informal signal. So let's see, the team over on this side, I don't know if you can see it, is at 24. Then you usually put a little, finger up here and say, okay. And that tells you up official that it's game point. Okay, it's an informal signal. It just helps them so that when the next point is scored, then they know it's the end of the game if it's the same team. Okay, they can probably see the score or whatever, but it's just a little way to communicate between the two officials so that you don't let the game go on after 25, unless one team is in ahead by 2. Okay, when the match is over or the set is over, which again in volleyball we used to call them games, now they're sets, which I don't understand, because a set is your hit, is where your assist, where you're trying to get somebody to spike the ball, but I guess they just call it sets now. Anyway, you initial it, you go over and initial, there's a little mark for you to put your signature in. You do that to say, okay, the score's right. Next one. You also will blow a warning whistle when there's 2 minutes and 45 seconds in between games. There's 3 minutes between games. The last 15 seconds, you blow your whistle. It means get out on the floor. And if they don't get out on the floor, they're going to get a penalty. You notify if you see unsporting conduct violations. Again, if somebody swears or does some things, you see it and the first official did. You can give cards too, but you just tell the up official. They give out the card, but you can still give a card as a down official. You confirm the score if an illegal player is in the match. Okay, remember we did a prevent officiating to make sure that all the numbers were on there. Well, let's say a number isn't on the roster and they're in the game. That's illegal. If they have earrings on, if they went in the wrong spot. Because when you subs, if you go in for 2, you have to, 2 has to come back, or you have to sub in the same spot. You can't sub for a different person in a different spot. That's illegal. So the scorer should help you with that. But again, you're the one that's in charge of that. And then if there's a game 5 or game 3, depending on, you're the one that flips the coin. So that the up official, the first referee, doesn't have to get down off the stand, come down, do this. They can stay up there. You just do it, tell the scorekeeper who got it, and then tell the first referee. Okay? All right, the scorer, the person that keeps the scorebook, needs to be there at least 20 minutes before the start of the match to get stuff ready. At the end of the pre-match, they're going to give the rosters from the second referee. So they record them in the book, and then they record the lineups. You can do it earlier than this if you've got them. Obviously, I would, because, you want them done. But you have 2 minutes in the first set to get them in there, and 1 minute in the other sets. There's only 3 minutes between the sets. But the first one, you've got all the pre-match and stuff, so you want to get that in at least 2 minutes and then 1 minute. And the other thing is you keep the score sheets there. You can't let the other teams look at their score sheets. I don't know if it's a huge deal, but I guess it's important. So you leave them there, flip them over so nobody can see them, and then they stay with you at the table. You don't let anybody take them. Okay, you sit at the scorer's table. On one side, you're going to have your Libero tracker. On the other side, you're going to have the timer. So you're the one in the middle, and you're kind of the one in charge of the scorer's table. Okay. You record individual and team scoring, and you supervise the operation of the visual scoring device. In other words, if you have the score being 5-6 and the score above is 7-4, you're the one that's got to tell them to fix it. Okay, you're the official of that table, basically. So if the visual score isn't right, you're the one that's in charge of getting it fixed. If there is an issue, a discrepancy with a score, you wait for the first dead ball, and then you tell the second referee. Okay. You verify the serving order. So if the wrong person serves, you let the second referee know. Okay. That happens. So it's your job to tell them, because if you don't fix that right away, let's say they serve like 5 points and then you find out it's the wrong server, you have to take those 5 points away. Well, if it's the first time, they don't get too upset with you. But if they've just gone on a roll and gotten 5 points and then you have to take those points away, plus it makes your book a mess and it's ugly. So you want to take care of it immediately. Okay. If they're proper serving order at the time the ball is contacted. Okay. So if there's an improper server, then you need to you tell the second referee and then work together to get them in the right order. Okay. You keep track of the timeouts charged to each team. And then you record if there is a yellow card or a necessary delay, any of those, you record it in the comment sections so that they know if there's one yellow card, if another one comes up, it's a red card. Those will be all in the comment section of the scorebook. Okay. You also record each substitution in the running score. And again, I'll show you this in a little bit. You notify the second referee when the 15, 16, 17, and 18 sub happens so they can tell the coach. You notify the second referee if there's an illegal sub, like a 19th. You tell the second referee when a team has reached set point. And when there's a discrepancy between the scorebook and the visual score, you're the one that's got to fix it. That's your job. Okay, the Libero tracker sits next to you. And again, they need to be there 20 minutes ahead of time. They enter the starting rotations. And basically their job, they record subs, but their job is to make sure the Libero goes in for the person they went out for. So if they go in for number 6, when 6 is going to rotate to the front, the Libero has to come out and 6 has to come back in. That's their job. Okay, they sit next to the official scorer. They record Libero replacements and substitutions. And now a Libero replacement is not a sub. It doesn't count as a sub. They can play for anybody in the back row. If there's a discrepancy, again, they need to let the second referee know. If they replace the wrong person, if it's supposed to be in the front row, something like that. All that's up to the Libero tracker. Their job is basically to track the Libero and write in subs. Okay. The timer needs to be there 20 minutes before the start of the match. They test the timing device to make sure it works properly. That's important. That's time, you guys, not tie. They time the pre-match warm-up period. They sit next to the official scorer. And they time the interval between the charge timeout. You get 60 seconds for timeout, so they buzz, and make sure the teams get back on the floor. They time for the injury timeout. The second referee will say, please start 30 seconds. Okay. They time the interval between sets. There's 3 minutes between each set. Okay. And they keep a running score, checking with the official score to make sure that they match up, that the scores are the same. Okay. That's the timer. The line judge, you have 2 line judges, and again, they have to be there 20 minutes before the match starts. The first referee is going to go through, that's their job, is the line judge. So they're going to go through your job. Okay. Your job is to stand at the intersection of the sideline, the left sideline, and the end line. So you need to be in the corner so you can see both. And you hold the same position. You don't switch after each set. You stand at, when there's a timeout, you stand at the intersection and the attack line. So you move in so that you're like 10 feet away from the up official. On the side that the up official is, you go in there. Okay. And you hold the ball if your team is serving. Okay. What they're going to tell you when you're line judge is flats. You watch when the person serves. If they step on or over the line before they hit the ball, that's a foot fault, and you point at the line. You watch the line all the way down and all the way across. If it hits any part of the line, it's in. Okay. The antenna, the ball has to go in between the 2 antennas, a serve ball and in. If it goes on the outside, it still might come into the inside of the court. But if you see the ball either touch the antenna or go on the outside of the antenna, that's out. And then if you see somebody touch the ball that's going out of bounds, you make that signal. And again, know where to stand during timeouts and so on. So they say it's flats. Okay. Here are your signals. If you're looking for inbounds, out of bounds, touch, line violations, and if you can't see, you just do that. And the other thing is, if you've got a flag, which is now a thing, you point with one flag in, hold it up high for out, the touch you put in front of you like that. And then if the ball is out, you can see she's holding it up, touching the antenna. And again, you cross your arms. It's like, I couldn't see it. Don't make up a call if you can't see it. Okay. And I think that's it. Yep. That's it for this part. So we'll put that in there. And the next thing you have to do is a little quiz on jobs.